Okay, so, I won't lie. I feel kinda silly doing a review on a game that is almost 15 years old. Most people that had any interest in this game have already played it, but I happen to be one of the few that didn't. Might as well give an honest and current review. I actually did try Bioshock back when it was a new game. I just couldn't stand trying to play FPSs on console, or with a controller. I always felt that aiming, especially vertically, felt sluggish. I know there is an entire market of gamers that will disagree with me on this, as console gamers are far more common than on PC. But the controls kept me away from a lot of the games from that era. I ran into the same problem with the darkness too, so I know that Bioshock wasn't an isolated incident. But the Bioshock Collection on Epic for free?
Well, better late than never.
I decided I had to give the game another chance, considering how well regarded it is. Actually, how well regarded all three of these games are. It is almost unbelievable that this game is considered retro now. And unfortunately, it definitely is showing its age in a lot of ways. One of the first things that sticks out to me is how inaccurate the weapons are. Excluding the pistol, which accuracy isn't that bad, but the machine gun spread is terrible, as is the shotguns. Their accuracy fall-off is horrible outside of point-blank range. Then the shotgun's slow fire rate doesn't help either. There were definitely tropes for how guns worked back then, which is why to this day I still prefer shotguns in games. The entire industry moved towards tighter firing weapons a couple years ago, and while at the time I think I was fairly against this choice, thinking it would take away from the different type of gun's character, it has been quite jarring trying to go back to the old ways. I did like that each weapon had different ammo types. It could be a little clumsy trying to change ammo types in the middle of a fight, but when given the chance to prepare the right ammo beforehand, it would immensely simplify difficult encounters. The biggest complaint I had about the weapons, though, was how backwards setting up the hotkeys were. There was a point in the game where you have to remove your weapons, and you will get a new pistol before you receive your gear back. This messes up the weapons orders, putting the pistol in the wrench's position. I spent probably 5 minutes before finally looking up a fix. And you can't change the weapon's positions. You had to instead change the hotkeys for the weapon slots. Does it fix the problem? Absolutely. But it is just bass-ackwards setting up weapon slot 1 to the 2 key, and the opposite, instead of just moving the weapon to the weapon slot. Especially when this is exactly how you set up plasmids. I totally forgot about the camera and the taking pictures part of this game. What a unique mechanic. I thought this was a really clever way of implementing an RPG mechanic into the game, without making it mandatory. The only drawback was my own doing. Attempting to get that, just one more picture before I get attacked, where that last picture would be an action shot because the attack was already in the process of hitting me. The hacking minigame is still fun also. Or, at least it is fun when it doesn't cheat you. Needing to move the first piece because of short circuits is dirty enough, let alone actually unsolvable puzzles. I found myself hacking anything and everything I could just to play the minigame. The benefits of the hack were just a plus. And hack turrets were awesome, but the flying bots, not so much. Actually, I found a lot of the friendly AI to be pretty bad. I would hack bots just to watch them fly by enemies. And then the Rosies not going aggressive until I was attacked also felt counterintuitive. I thought you were supposed to protect me. Actually, I'm convinced that the Rosies were still trying to kill me even when I had them controlled. They would block me into small areas and let the enemies shoot me. What good are enemies with friends like that? Then there is the collecting of stuffs in this game. Listen, I have always been big into the Easter egg hunts within games. But there is just so much to collect here. And there are so many one-of-somethings to collect. Like you would find a pistol with 1 round in it, or collect $1. Or a downed enemy would give you 1 machine gun ammo. I mean, maybe this was designed for realism, like in real life when people will drop a penny and feel like it's not worth the time to pick it up, compared to if you dropped a $20 bill. but I would have been fine pressing E a few less times and getting higher quantities instead. Okay, conspiracy theory time. Maybe the developers of Bioshock just wanted you to realize how introverted the protagonist was. I mean, I spent almost as much time staring at the floor in-game as I do in real life. And for how much time you do spend collecting stuff, the limited quantities were really noticeable. I had to switch up what guns I was using a lot just based on ammo quantities. Or maybe this could have actually been a positive, since I wasn't allowed to activate my item hoarding syndrome. But it could also feel wasteful using too big of ammo on certain enemies. I don't know if this is so much of a game or me issue, but even with the Remastered, I had a hard time seeing enemies in Bioshock. I'm not sure if this is just caused by the generally darker colors and atmosphere of the game, but without movement, I regularly couldn't make out enemies in the distance. I remember having this problem a lot with games during that era. I always blamed it on how games are set in a 3D world, yet are projected through a 2D screen, making depth a lot more difficult to tell. Thinking about it now though, I don't notice this problem as much in new games. And just a quick disclaimer, I am writing this about halfway through the game, so I might be missing that really crucial moment, but I'm really not getting the praise for this storyline. Not saying it's bad by any means, I just feel like I've been oversold hard. I mean, the setting of Rapture is really cool, being made out to be a libertarian objectivism utopia on paper, while being cramped, dingy, and falling into disrepair. The rampant drug addiction and general lawlessness of the people being isolated and left to their own devices is a great backdrop for a game. And the Big Daddy will forever be embossed on gaming culture. Am I just not seeing the forest through all the trees? Maybe I'm just judging too narrowly about the immediate protagonist's story, along with Atlas and Ryan, and not giving enough weight to the intricacies of the world building. The last thing I have to bring up, how much I hate the old map systems. I can't say how thankful I am for the more modern quality of life changes to maps and navigation in games. I've probably said this before, but I easily get lost in games. So the more help you provide me, the better. And I also can't say how thankful I am to game makers for minimaps. Again, I'm probably just showing my bias against the times, but I hated trying to find myself on the map, figure out what direction I was facing, which direction I should be going, and having to figure out each turn along the way. Sure, you would get that overhead arrow to help, but it is just so much easier having a minimap. So after 10 hours of gameplay, I'm gonna say it, Bioshock is a product of its time. That doesn't make it bad, it just made me realize how much quality of life changes to games have been made since. There is the saying that we stand on the shoulder of giants, and I can definitely respect the world building started with this game, and what it could be as a franchise going forward. But since I'm riding the cliches a little hard in this review, you have to learn to crawl before you learn to walk. And there's a reason why you don't see many people crawling. And that's where I am with Bioshock now. Unless you absolutely need to play a classic game firsthand, or you already played the game and want some nostalgia, I'm gonna have to tell you that Bioshock's probably a pass. Thanks for watching. But it could also feel wasteful using too big of ammo